So I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. Zoe, are we good to go?
Yes, we are all set.
Okay. All right, great. Calling this meeting of the Madison Public Schools Facilities Committee. We have a special meeting this evening with a couple items on the agenda. The first one being a review of the Daniel Hand High School stage lighting project. So Bill, I take it that you have some exciting updates for us.
I do. So I just clarification too, we've changed a different philosophy on procedural approval on some of these over the years. Town funded projects, even though they're schools, sometimes we just go to the Board of Ed and follow their process. So I wasn't really clear on, so that's why I was time sensitive to get the high school lighting done. But Stacy said that she really felt more comfortable if we went to the Board of Selectmen because it is town funded. It is a school project. And I've been doing this a long time. We've switched back and forth since I've done this. It used to always be approved by the Board of Selectmen. And at one time we went back to the Board of Education, which I thought was not the right way, but I'll follow any rules. So we're back to the Board of Selectmen. I went to them for formal approval of the project, keeping you guys in the loop. We were short on funding. We had two bidders. I can bring up the details if you're interested, but I'll give you a summary first. We had two bidders. The low bidder is a contractor that we use quite often, and we have very, very good experience with. I think that the engineering firm BL and the engineer, specifically Dennis, I can't believe I forgot his last name. Dennis with BL, Burton, thank you, Burton. And he did a great job. He met with the users. He was out on the space a lot. You know, he's to me the old school engineer. He was there a lot, went up on the lift, checked everything out. So he was really comfortable with the scope. Was really comfortable with the contractor. What I'm not happy about, but totally to me, it's today's world, is the price is significantly higher than we planned since 2018. Yes, I had an escalation. Yes, we added some stuff to the project at my request, because I think we needed to improve some safety features in that big space. So to me, the combination of the time and the money and the cost of everything, I think is the biggest one. A little expansion on the scope, I think, to make the project better. And, it's significantly higher. So I went to the Board of Selectmen today, asking them to award it to the low contractor and the additional $120,000 for the project. They agreed, they approved it, and they moved it to the Board of Finance, which I'll go to the Board of Finance and ask for the additional funding tomorrow night. So that's the overview. I'm happy to get into the details, but I think I just want to keep pointing out is I think it's a really good project. I think the users and the people who are involved in the design, I think the engineer spent a lot of time and really, fine-tuned the design. We always look at when we're over budget, what can we take out? I ruled it out because the things that we could take out, are things that I think need to be in there. They probably won't affect the stage lighting. It'll still get all the nice fancy lighting and we'll do it, but it'll affect to me, the safety of the lighting of the house lights we call when they use the stage for a classroom. They'll affect the lights around the perimeter when somebody's child's up there performing and I have to sneak in late because I'm coming in late. I can't see very well. We want a little perimeter lighting so someone can come in late without tripping and falling. There is some lighting and there is lighting, of course, on the stage now, but I just think we need to improve that. And so I wanted that. And then there was another piece of equipment that we use right now for a spotlight. I just think we need to improve it. It's 20 years old this year. We need to make the improvements. So the Board of Selectmen agreed with me and sent it off to the Board of Finance. So if the Board of Finance doesn't give me all the money or they give me a portion of it, I'll just come back and we'll try to figure out what we can do. So any questions? More details?
So Bill, for the overage, so it's 120,000 over
Mhm.
what, and that's from the low bidder. And
Right.
is that just like what we've seen with other issues, cost of materials, inflation, sort of the same issues we've seen across other projects?
Yes.
Okay.
We've had 3 projects that I have been working on for the last 3 months that we've gotten numbers for. I'm working on a lot more projects, but we only bid out the Brown School this fall, and it came in right within the numbers that we had. We're very happy. I was very concerned, very happy about those numbers. Great contractor. And I think it came right within the plan. The tennis courts, which I was going to go over as an update, came over significantly higher. Talked to the contractor, and he told me, he said, hey, if you did this last year, it would have been $100,000 less. This year, the cost, he starts rattling off the cost of this and the cost of that. And he goes, Bill, it's another 100 grand, and he was low bidder. There was 2 other bidders that were higher. So my experience lately on these 2 projects, the lighting and the tennis courts, are significantly higher than our original estimates.
Yeah.
And it's the sign of the times, but I believe both these contractors can get it done, the tennis courts and the lighting. So
Okay.
did I answer your question on that?
Yes, you did. Just continuing with our theme here. So that makes sense.
Bill, you also shared with me, you did a lot of work with the end users at the high school. You met with the people who'd be, the conductors and the teachers that would be using it. So you want to just share a little bit about that process? Because I think the board would like to hear that, because I think you did a great job in making sure people had their input.
Yes, thank you for reminding me about that. And I did point that out, not specifically to this Board of Education, but I did point out that this is a project that the second phase, the first phase, we did the sound system. We upgraded the sound system. And I met with all the users, the band teacher, the drama teacher, the chorus teacher, and I'm sure I'm missing somebody else. Ron Soja, all the people that use the facility, we
Orchestra.
all met. I think there was 8 of them. And, we worked out the sound system. We did the same thing with the lighting, and they all sort of deferred it to Eli, because Eli is the who does the drama stuff and the plays. And they thought if Eli gets what he wants, they're going to be happy too. So they sort of turned it over to Eli. They were all involved. And then Eli really took an active role, and we took his scope and we met with the designer, and then he went to the next step, and we've met with them a couple more times since the designer came on board. And I really think that we're going to get something that everyone's going to be happy with. I really do. I think the lighting is going to be top notch, and I think it's going to last another 20 years. I think it will. And I don't think that we should skimp on a few, what I would consider improvements that are important to me as the director of facilities. Not, I think that the people will be happy without them, but I think we should really put them in.
So this occurs, of course, over a backdrop of the fact that with this school design 20 some odd years ago, we ended up with a unified cafetorium instead of having a full acoustically and lighting correct performance space. And we've made good use of it. I'm sure there are school districts that would love to have our situation, but it certainly makes sound and lighting more challenging, that you're converting a cafeteria space into a rollout bleacher auditorium for performances. And so this is what we do have very strong arts programs at Daniel Hand, and it is important for us to have at least adequate, if not good, lighting and sound to help make up for the nature of the space. The only real question I have, Bill, is are we going to be able to salvage some of the parts from that 20-year-old spotlight to use for the air conditioning handlers on the roof?
No, all the equipment's the responsibility of the contractor to be taken off site and gotten rid of.
Just kidding.
No,
We're
they
about
always
the
try
same
that. Well,
age.
maybe you could reuse some of these fixtures or lights. I'm like, no, it will cost me a fortune, and, you know, the engineering design, for, you know, making it safer and the amount of structural integrity they're putting up there, I could bring up the plans, but it's just impressive. And I've talked to the contractor about what we could save for money and how we could do some stuff. And we talked about the structural stuff, and we both agreed, you know, that's important. We, you know, whatever we put up above people's head, we want to make sure we're comfortable with our families being underneath that stuff. And we're putting some really cool stuff up in the air, but we're, you know, it's a little heavier than it was before, you know?
It's same thing safety wise when you talk about some lighting for walkways and perimeter use and stuff. So we don't want people falling if we can avoid it. And I also wanted to, you know, I want to thank you, Bill, for asking the Board of Selectmen and pushing this forward. And I want to also publicly take this moment to thank the Board of Selectmen for moving this onto the Board of Finance. And I hope the Board of Finance also sees the wisdom in this and approves it. Thank you.
I took the liberty because I don't think I can give it as justice as Dr. TJ Salutary. I asked him for a memo to help me explain to the Board of Selectmen, you know, the importance. And I just sent that memo to you guys with the backup on this. So, and I think it's important because I know, because I'm here in the schools and I see the excitement of the kids and the use of the facility and, you know, how important it is and how I've been to some of this stuff, not a lot, but I've been to it. It's impressive. So he did a nice memo to help me with that. I think that was part of the encouragement and explained to the importance of it. So it was great. And they did ask me if the Board of Education could fund the money. And I told them, you know, I said, listen, we have funds for projects. I said, but, you know, it's the worst year I've been here with our utilities. Our budgets are shorter than ever. And we do have funding for projects, but I couldn't tell them, you know, what the Board of Education's priority is. We'd have to take the funds from another project. So I said, I don't feel comfortable saying they had the money to take from another project at this point. So I think that was good enough. And they decided to fund it through the town, which I agree 100%, because we don't have enough money for the projects that we'd like to do this summer. I know that. So I just another piece of information they asked, and Al didn't understand why it wasn't going to you guys, and you guys were funding it. And I told him this, and he was clearly, everyone corrected him. It goes through the Board of Selectmen. That's where the funding is. It's a capital project. And I've been working for the town a long time, and that's where all the stuff originally came from. All the capital projects, roofing, facility stuff, big capital projects went through the Board of Selectmen, and there was a building committee that did it. The Board of Ed wasn't really involved at all. When I first, there was a building committee. There wasn't even Board of Ed members on them that, you know, that did the roofs and the construction and the building. They turned it over to the Board of Ed. They got some guidance. I think the Board of Education writes, you know, these educational specs I was involved when we used to write educational specs, but we sort of didn't even read them. We just, you know, spent the money as best we could to get the building as best we could. And then we turned it over to the board. So if you're good on that, I wanted to update you. I don't think I need any formal approval. I just wanted to make sure you guys are okay with it. If you had any problems or concerns, I wanted to know about that. If you're all right with that, I'll stay at the next item that we did at the Board of Selectmen this morning was the Polson tennis courts. Once again, that project was over the budget by at least $100,000, actually $153,000 I asked for. And they approved that. I cut $45,000 out of the original bid. And we are not doing any of the alternates that we wanted. The shed, the fancy benches in the hill. I forget the couple other things that we're not going to be able to do them. We can
Conduit underneath.
Say that again.
The conduit underneath for electrical for future lighting.
We took the lighting out. Thank you. The conduit, the lighting, the shed, and the concrete benches. We wanted to build them in the hill so you'd have a nice stadium seating. It was a great idea, but you know, people are going to have to bring blankets and sit on the grass. And we also had replace some bleachers. We didn't do that either. So those are all items that we could fund or do some other time. They won't hurt the project. We reduced the intensity of the fencing. The fencing didn't need it to be so intense. I think we removed the wind screens. We could put those up later at a different date. We were going to put some kind of slats in and make the fence bigger and stronger, but we can just put wind screens in later. Those are the things that we removed from the project so we could move forward. It was still 153,000 over. And the Board of Selectmen approved the funding. I'm going to the Board of Finance again on that for Wednesday night. And if we successfully get that, we have a local contractor who is the low bidder who is committing to me that he can get it done this summer. So. Any questions about the Polson tennis courts?
None
So
for me.
those were the big ones. Wednesday night, hopefully I'll get the approval from the Board of Finance, and we should be moving forward with both those projects for this summer.
You're a busy guy running around town, Bill. Appreciate it.
They're great projects. I'm really enjoying it, and I do have a lot of good help. And what's impressive to me, not just on these projects, is the professional services that we have on our team. And I'll just go right to the new high school. I can't be more impressed. We have Gilbane as the contractor, the construction manager. Tecton's doing a great job, and Collier's keeping track of the projects. We met with the neighbors. The chairman of the building committee is a very positive, aggressive guy getting this job done. We're sensitive to the neighbors. We had a neighborhood meeting. They definitely have legitimate concerns. We're putting a school in an area was an open field. They were very polite. It was a very, nice meeting. Although they're not happy about it, they were very, very nice. I've been to meetings where people aren't nice, and they're upset and they lose their cool sometimes. These people were very, very polite, very nice people, and you feel bad that they're going to have a school next to them. And we'll try and see what we can do to alleviate some of the issues, fencing, trees. We're not going to be able to. We're not removing the school, so it's going to be there. The construction is going to be 18 months, 16 months of disturbance from the preliminary to the end. So we get it. So that was really nice. Right now, we're actively, setting up meetings with the town staff for our permitting systems to make sure that we comply with all the regulatory issues. We'll be going to planning and zoning and wetlands soon. We should be finalizing the land transaction soon, the land trust stuff. I don't really know what the time frame is. I know that we're in the final stage of that.
Okay.
So that's what's happening. We should have the design. We had the preliminary plan, and we had the preliminary budget, which was unfortunately a lot higher than we'd hoped. So now we're doing the design development, getting closer to the permitting. By the end of April, we should have the next updated budget. And that's when we really need to decide, what we're going to do. I know that I'm sure Dr. Cook's been telling you about the projections of the student population, unfortunately, is going up. But really we have a fixed amount of money. We have a site that we need to build. So, we really need to keep moving forward and making this work as best we can. If the numbers double, we're not going to fit them on this site. Unless actually we could do a 3-story or 4-story, but I don't see that working. But I'm exaggerating a little bit. So any questions about the new school? I think it's going really well. And I think we have a great professional team, a great building committee. And I'm really impressed with how it's working out. And that's also a very fun project.
That's great. They're working real hard in that committee too, it sounds like. So appreciate it.
Yeah, it's nice because it's a team effort, and Graham is really, really, trying to work on it. So the next is the Brown School. That's, I'd say, going very well. We're the contractor, I think, is a good contractor. We haven't worked with them before, but we've heard really good things about them. And, we're ordering all the material and get everything lined up so it works out for the summer. We're also looking at three areas that we hope to add to the scope. The rest of the bathrooms, or a significant amount of the bathrooms. Some of the bathrooms we can't comply to ADA, but we can update. Since 1970, it would be nice to change the fixtures and put new flooring in and, make them nicer, even if they can't comply. Some of the ones that will comply that weren't on the list, we're going to do that. We're looking at staff and other bathrooms. So we're going to update those, hopefully. We're looking at the main office, the 1970 office. In today's world, they think the conference room needs a little bigger instead of open space, maybe a couple more, offices will build. The Tecton came with a great design. We told them we want to improve the space, and they made some great recommendations, and we're working on whether we can do it and afford it. So we liked what we saw. So Tecton did a fantastic job. And then we're also looking at trying to figure out what we can do to improve the other classrooms that aren't part of the scope of the wing. What are we going to do for the 1970 millwork? If you go up there, you'd be embarrassed to look at it. I mean, it's peeling and looks terrible. And the sinks are original. So we're looking at what we can do to fix up the millwork that, needs to be done. So those are the three areas that we're looking at, with the understanding that hopefully summer, fall, we'll start looking at the library, the rest of the spaces in the hallway. How can we make the school, more K-5 friendly? Any questions about Brown School? I'm hoping to come back to you with a plan with funding. I'd like to, if we can, negotiate with the contractor on site to keep it moving for the summer. I'll come up with the end of the year funds that we can move to it. And I'm going to come up with a proposal when I have a better scope. We just agreed on the scope and what we think we can do. Now we need to, define it and then get the pricing and see if we can work it out with the contractor to get it done. So more to come on that. I'll keep you updated.
Bill,
Yes.
I'm thinking it was so fun to have our field trip to the Fab Lab last week. And maybe I'm advocating for more field trips across the board for students and for us. But maybe this summer, or once the work starts or before it begins, it would be kind of neat to walk us through the space at Brown so we can see what they're going to be working on this summer. Is that possible, or is that like a safety issue?
No, it's no problem.
It'd be kind of neat, I
It's
think,
no
to
problem.
see, have a better sense. I know we talk a lot about the wing, which wing and the work, and we've seen the plans, but sort of walk through the space before with the team might be neat. Then to report, invite the whole board and report out to the community about that. I think that'd be neat to really see it with our own eyes.
Yeah, you want to start with Brown School and try to target that? Because I think we could do that now. You'll see what the space looks like, and we can show you the plans, and we
Yeah.
could do a nice presentation, and maybe we can even talk and look at the bathrooms that we're going to expand to.
Yeah.
I mean, and looking at the bathrooms and then looking at the plans, you're going to be, wow.
Yeah.
They're clean. The fixtures work. We've actually even, changed some partitions. So I'm not saying the bathrooms are embarrassing, but it's going to be nice when we have new bathrooms versus, just maintained bathrooms.
For
And some
sure.
of the 1970 ones, it's the original floor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Great.
think
So
that's,
I'm very receptive to that, and I think it's totally practical. We'll start with the Brown School, which I think can do well, and then if you want, we can do the lighting project and the tennis courts, and just see what's there, and then we could talk about what we're going to propose. And so then when we put the new stuff in, you can see the new
Yeah.
stuff.
I think that'd be good. We could schedule something over there. I think the other piece too, and forgive me if you mentioned it, Bill, but the library was the other piece we were looking at as well. Because now we're going from a 1970 library that was built for older students that will be rebuilt for K through 5, and it will be a little smaller space because we are capturing some of the office space and some of the library area that's computers now that we won't need that for anymore, but we're recapturing that for a classroom. And I think it'd be good for Bill to show you that, the fixtures that we're replacing, it's, we replace every 53 years, whether it needs it or not. And I think that's important for you to see before. It'll be neat to see after too. We could do that
Yeah.
in August or September.
No, I
Yeah.
agree 100%. And the library is on the list. That's an important one. But it's in the design development, and you'll see this, the the furniture that we put there in the 70s is still in really good shape. But,
Yeah.
it's pretty tall for, a second and third grader. I don't know if they're gonna have to climb up on those shelves to get to the. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's not allowed. Wait, I think we can do gym and library in
There
the
you
same
go.
spot, right? We'll put a climbing wall in there.
Right.
Well, I agree that we need to do something with that space. And, it's, some people say, well, the shelves are perfectly fine. I'm like, yeah, they are, but they're the wrong grade. So, what do you do with them? You got to start over.
And I
So,
think a lot of us have seen Brown or been in Brown when it's been a school for older kids. So to go through it now with an eye towards thinking about 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds in there will be helpful too. So
I'm really looking forward to what the Tecton people are going to come up with the huge hallways, and how can we make the hallways,
yeah,
learning spaces, because I've seen the stuff that they propose and it's awesome. And I've
Yeah.
seen the stuff they're proposing for the East Wing. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's going to look cool. And they came up with some good plans. I'm really impressed with their team. They
Right.
got a really good team. It's not just one person. It's the whole team. Every one of them seems impressive. So I'm really impressed with Tecton. I think they're doing a great job. And I'll put that together. We just need to pick a time, and whenever works. I'll try to get with Tecton and Dr. Cook and Zoe, and we'll try to put the next one of the meetings, if not the next one, the one after that, up there.
that sounds great. Yeah, whatever's most convenient for the team and the school. So whenever, that'd be great. Thanks, Bill.
I
No
think as
problem.
well too, what Bill knows and Frank can share too, showing the building in the light is much different than at night. And so, I mean, we're getting more light now, but if we could do maybe an earlier meeting somehow, switch it at least 5:30 or 5 o'clock or something like that, because the building just shows so much better. And that's how students experience it. So I'd want you to
Yeah.
see.
No,
Yeah.
with 4:30, I know you guys are Zooming, so it's easy for you to Zoom at 4:30, but I agree with Dr. Cook. We want to go in the afternoon after school's out, so there won't be any disruption to the school. They have after school till 6, but we won't bother them, and
Yeah.
we'll walk around the school. So I will work with them and set it up. And I agree, though, we want to do it in the light, because you
Yeah.
get the skylight, you see the openness. We don't have school in night, so it's really the daytime. And I really think the playground still is cool. I mean, that's one of the awesome. That
Oh,
was a
yeah.
huge benefit, huge asset. And, well
worth
so
it.
the only other project I have is just an update on the Polson Mechanical.
Okay.
BL Company, a different engineer. Although Dennis is working on the electrical part, there's a mechanical guy and they have a consultant doing the geo part. We're still in the design, figuring out what the recommendations are. They need to come with a preliminary plan. I say preliminary plan on, what's the updated cost? What are the different three different geo, traditional, and something else. They're supposed to give us, what's the cost benefit of the different proposals. And one of the other things that's not funded is the geo. What else not funded is the generator. We did get $1 million grant, but the budget is 2.7 million. And, we're trying to figure that out. So, we're trying to figure out how the grant works, how fast do we have to do it. My feeling is the Polson School, although it's a really important project, it doesn't have any specific time frame. So we need to really take our time and design it correctly. I think we want to prioritize the generator and the electrical first. But if we ordered the generator today, we wouldn't be able to, we might get it in for next summer of 24. It takes that long, 52 plus weeks for a generator. Oh no, the switch gear. So you need switch gear and you need a transformer when you redo the electrical, and that stuff takes 52 weeks. I mean, it's just incredible. I think the generator is only 26 weeks, but still, it's just incredible. And every time we look into it, it seems like they push them out farther.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Oh, good news. One other good news, unless you have any questions about Polson.
Any questions from the committee? Nope, nope. Good news. Let's hear it.
I got an email from Johnson Controls and they said the parts are in for the rooftop unit number 7. And,
Great.
you know, they want to come down and talk to me and see if they can, you know, make me happy, I guess. I told them they should schedule with Mark because they need to come down and schedule and put it in. I'm just going to put off that meeting because I'm trying to be a polite man. I'm definitely disappointed in their service and their
Yeah,
equipment. I mean, I don't need to get into the details. I think I've spoken
We
about
understand.
those rooftop units before, and it's just a disappointment when you spend tens of thousands of dollars and within a year they break and they say, oh well, sorry.
yeah,
And you got to spend it all over again. And they don't, the parts, you can't get the parts for like 6 months, you
yeah.
know? It's just incredible. And it's a sign of the times. I mean, you know, last summer and the summer before, my projects were late. You know, they were within budget, but they were late, and I was very unhappy. You know, but they're like, you know, we can't get the stuff. Like that's not acceptable. You know, we have school, and we don't want to have construction with school.
I'm glad the parts are in. That's progress. Things are moving forward at least.
Yes.
Good.
Yes. Yeah. So the front, we did 2 entryways, one at Brown, and we barely finished that one on time. Barely. We just squeaked it in. The Polson one, we're still missing some stuff.
Hmm.
The benches, they're custom benches. They're going to come in April. And there's some artwork that we, you know, isn't make or break it, but you know, the artwork isn't done either. And that, you know, it's just incredible. I don't understand. We ordered it way ahead of time. I mean, we did it in the fall of the year before. We contracted it in, and we still don't have the stuff. So I think, unfortunately, it's just acceptable now to say, well, we can't get the parts. You know, and
People are used to it now. Expect
I
it.
guess
Yeah.
I'm not.
Right.
And it's definitely bothers me. But I'm hopeful the projects that we have this summer will go smoothly. But, you know, I'm hopeful. Yeah. So that's all I had for projects. I'm happy to, talk any more about facilities or anything else you'd have questions on. But, we have a solid team. You know, I don't talk much about my operations, but, you know, we have Mark Mastriano, who leads our maintenance operations, who does a fantastic job. Raquel runs the office and does a great job. Bob and his team, all the head custodians, they're all stellar. And, they all take pride in the schools. You know, they take care of the principals. You know, they're can-do people. It's a great place to work. It's not roses and everything's great, but, you know, the big picture is people are happy to work here. They're all dedicated. They all want to do a good job. And, and they all try hard. You know, we all make mistakes and none of us are perfect, but, I have a great team here and it's great to be here and working for you guys.
Well, that's
Yeah,
great.
the most important thing. I said this at the Board of Selectmen's meeting. I almost forgot. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day, Bill. Well, that all sounds like good updates. Things are moving along. We appreciate all that everyone is doing. I know there's so many projects that you're overseeing and managing and keeping track of all those bits and pieces. So sure to appreciate it. Do any members of the committee have any questions for Bill or Craig for that matter? No. Bill, anything you need from us at this time?
No, the Board of Finance is meeting on Wednesday at 7. I
Okay.
can handle it. I don't need your support. I just wanted you to know about it.
Yep.
If you want to call and harass them before the meeting, is that appropriate?
Okay.
No, I just, I really think, I don't know what the money situation is or what, why they wouldn't give me the money. It's been supported by the Board of Selectmen.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be successful, but to me, that's still one last hurdle
Yeah.
for 2 projects, the tennis courts and the lighting at hand.
Okay,
They have to approve the additional funding, which is not a small amount of money.
right.
One's 120,000. The other one's 154, although we gave 100 back on the project because we couldn't do the lights.
Right, okay, yep,
So they gave us 100,000 for the lights. And I said, we can't do the lights, it's just not gonna work out. We need to get the money for the project.
Yeah.
So I gave 100 back for the lights. I'm hoping to ask for that money back, plus 53,000 to complete the job,
okay.
253. So
Okay.
I don't think that one's gonna be an issue at all. And I hope the high school one won't be, but it's still 120,000.
Okay. Well, you'll keep us posted. Let us know if we can do anything.
You got it.
Anything from us.
Have a
but
great night. Have a great Valentine's.
Thank you, Bill.
Thanks, Bill.
Thanks,
you.
everyone.
Thanks,
All right.
Emily. Thanks,
Yeah.
Craig.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye, Zoe.